There are men who speak loudly to be noticed. And there are men who say very little, yet remain impossible to forget. This is not about mystery. It is not about manipulation. And it is not about pretending to be distant. It is about something far rarer. In a world full of emotional noise, constant explanation, and endless need for validation, the quiet man becomes a pause. He does not rush to impress. He does not chase connection. He does not fear silence. And because of that, people feel him before they understand him. Women may not remember every word he spoke, but they remember how their minds slowed down around him. How being near him felt different. How his presence carried no pressure. This video is not about learning how to attract. It is about understanding why some men leave a mark without ever trying. Welcome to the channel, Stoic Love Wisdom. This is where every story and lesson about love will help you find the answer. Today, we will explore a new perspective through the topic, 5 things that make women always remember a quiet man. These are real-life experiences and profound lessons that will change the way you perceive love. Follow me, because the most surprising and interesting things are still waiting for you ahead. Before starting, find a quiet place, put on your headphones and relax your mind. Let the sharing in this video help you feel more fully and enjoy every meaningful moment. Are you ready to embark on this journey? Let's begin. Number 1. His calm is not silence, it is emotional safety. When I was younger, I thought women remembered men who spoke well. Men who knew how to explain, persuade, argue, or reassure. I was wrong. What women remember, long after the conversations fade, is how safe they felt in your presence. And nothing creates safety more than a man who remains calm. When most men lose control, a quiet man is often misunderstood. People assume he is distant, cold, or uninterested. But a truly calm man is none of those things. He is simply a man who has learned something painful. That reacting emotionally does not protect love. It destroys it. A woman watches how a man responds under pressure. Not when things are easy. Not when she is smiling. But when emotions rise, when tension enters the room. When words become sharp. Most men fail here. They rush to defend themselves. They interrupt. They explain too much. They raise their voice slightly, just enough to lose respect. The calm man does not. He listens without flinching. He does not hurry to win the moment. He does not need to prove he is right. And in that moment, something happens inside her. She relaxes. Not consciously. Not logically. But deeply. Because her nervous system recognizes something rare. Stability. Women do not feel safe with men who are emotionally reactive. A man who explodes in anger. A man who collapses into insecurity. A man who panics when he feels misunderstood. These men may love intensely. But intensity is not safety. A calm man sends a different signal. He says, without words, I am in control of myself. You don't have to carry my emotions. You don't have to walk on eggshells. That is powerful. That is unforgettable. Stoic men understand this instinctively. Not because they suppress emotion, but because they master it. They know that emotions are temporary visitors, not commanders. They know that reacting does not make them stronger, only noisier. So when a woman is emotional, sad, anxious, frustrated, uncertain, he does not absorb her chaos. He becomes the ground beneath it. I have seen this many times. A woman tests, not intentionally, but She questions your intentions. She is not looking for an argument. She is asking one silent question. Can I trust your emotional center? The man who reacts emotionally answers, no. You'll have to manage me. The calm man answers, yes. I am already managing myself. And that answer stays with her. Here is a truth many men never accept. Women do not feel safe with men who need them emotionally. Need creates pressure. Pressure creates tension. Tension kills desire. The calm man does not need reassurance in every moment. He does not seek emotional validation. He does not collapse when things feel uncertain. He is self-contained. And self-contained men feel safe. This calm is not indifference. Indifference is cold. Calm is warm and steady. A calm man still cares, deeply. But his care is not anxious. He does not chase emotional highs. He does not fear emotional lows. He knows that emotions pass. But character remains. This is why women remember calm men long after relationships end. They may forget the words. They may forget the arguments. But they remember how it felt to sit next to someone who did not disturb their inner world. Someone who did not add chaos to their life. Someone whose presence slowed things down. That feeling is rare. And rare things stay in memory. In Stoic philosophy, calm is not weakness. It is strength under discipline. It is power that does not need to announce itself. A man who can remain calm has already won the most difficult battle. The one against himself. And women feel that victory. Without you ever speaking about it. This is why a quiet man can be unforgettable. Not because he was silent. But because his calm became a place where her mind could finally rest. Have you ever realized that, in love, moments of silence are sometimes more powerful than 1,000 words? Because in silence, we can hear our heartbeat more clearly and feel the presence of the other person more deeply. Here, I want to explore with you that strength, peace, and stability even when love goes through challenges. If you feel that these shares bring you something positive, please click like to support. And if you haven't clicked subscribe, do it now, so you don't miss any insight into love and maturity. I also hope to hear your story. What is the most valuable lesson that love has taught you? Please share in the comments section so we can learn and be inspired together. Come on, let's move on to the next part with a more prepared mind. Number 2. He speaks little, but every word has weight. There is a reason women remember the quiet man long after louder men disappear. It is not mystery. It is not manipulation. It is not some calculated tactic. It is weight. Most men talk too much because they are afraid of silence. They speak to fill space. They explain to feel important. They repeat themselves hoping to be understood. I used to be one of them. And every unnecessary word I spoke made me smaller. A man who speaks little has already learned something painful. Words lose value when they are overused. Silence, on the other hand, creates gravity. When a calm man finally speaks, people lean in. Not because he demands attention, but because he does not chase it. And women feel this immediately. A woman notices how often a man talks. She notices if he interrupts. She notices if he explains too much. She notices if he tries to impress. These behaviors signal insecurity, not intelligence. A man who speaks sparingly signals something else. I am not here to perform. I am comfortable with who I am. I don't need your approval to exist. That comfort is attractive. But more importantly, it is memorable. When a man talks less, women listen more. Not because he is dominant, but because his words are not cheap. Every sentence carries intention. There is no verbal clutter. No emotional dumping. No unnecessary justification. This makes his presence feel clean. Clear. Grounded. Stoic men understand that speech is an action. And every action has consequences. They do not speak to relieve emotion. They speak to express truth. They do not argue for ego. They speak to clarify reality. And sometimes, they choose not to speak at all. That choice is powerful. There is something unsettling, in a good way, about a man who does not rush to respond. Not because he is ignoring you, but because he is thinking. Most men respond emotionally. Quickly. Defensively. A quiet man pauses. That pause does something to a woman's mind. It forces her to slow down. To consider. To wonder. And wonder creates memory. Here is a hard truth. Women do not remember men who always had something to say. They remember men who made them think after the conversation ended. Men whose words echoed later. Men whose silence lingered longer than noise. I have watched women replay a single sentence from a quiet man in their head for weeks. Not because it was poetic. Not because it was romantic. But because it was precise. Accurate. Delivered without emotional need. A man who speaks little is not trying to convince. Convincing implies insecurity. He states. He observes. He lets reality do the rest. That restraint communicates confidence far more clearly than any declaration ever could. Many men fear that if they speak less, they will lose connection. The opposite is true. You lose connection when your words have no edge. When everything sounds the same. When nothing stands out. Silence sharpens meaning. In Stoic love, restraint is respect. Respect for the moment. Respect for the other person. Respect for yourself. A man who respects himself does not waste words. And women feel respected when they are not overwhelmed with noise. There is also something else. A quiet man does not give women every answer immediately. Not as a strategy, but as a natural result of his depth. He has layers. He does not unfold himself all at once. And the human mind is drawn to depth it cannot immediately measure. What is slowly revealed is valued more deeply. This is why women remember the quiet man. Not because he was silent, but because his words were rare enough to matter. Because when he spoke, it felt intentional. Because when he remained silent, it felt secure, not empty. A man who speaks little is not hiding. He is simply not leaking himself. And a man who does not leak his energy is felt long after he leaves the room. This is Stoic communication. Say less. Mean more. Let silence do its work. Number 3. His presence speaks louder than words. There is a difference between being around someone and feeling someone. Most men are present physically, but absent energetically. They talk. They gesture. They explain. Yet nothing about them stays. A truly grounded man is different. He may say very little. But when he enters a room, something shifts. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Subtly. And women notice. Presence is not charisma. Charisma is performative. Presence is rooted. Charisma seeks attention. Presence holds space. A man with presence does not try to be felt. He simply is. And that being leaves an impression deeper than words ever could. I learned this late. I used to believe that connection was built through conversation. Through sharing. Through explaining how I felt. But the women who remembered me most did not remember what I said. They remembered how they felt. Sitting in silence next to me. A man with presence is not restless. He is not checking his phone constantly. He is not scanning the room for validation. He is not mentally elsewhere. When he is with a woman, he is there. Not intense. Not overwhelming. Just undivided. That kind of attention is rare. And rarity creates value. Women live in a world of constant emotional noise. Messages. Expectations. Reactions. Demands. When they encounter a man whose presence is calm, whose energy is steady, whose attention is not fragmented, their nervous system responds. They slow down. They breathe deeper. They feel grounded. This is not accidental. A man with presence has trained himself to remain anchored. He does not need to impress. He does not need to entertain. He does not need to fill silence. Silence does not threaten him. And because silence does not threaten him, it does not threaten her. In Stoic love, presence is a form of leadership. Not control over others, but mastery over oneself. A man who cannot sit with himself in silence will never make a woman feel secure. But a man who is comfortable within his own inner world creates safety without effort. I have noticed something consistent. Women remember how a man looked at them. Far more than what he said to them. Not staring. Not intensity. But grounded attention. Eye contact that does not rush. Listening that does not interrupt. A posture that does not seek approval. This communicates. I am not trying to take something from you. That alone is disarming. Many men think presence means being emotionally available at all times. That is not presence. That is emotional leakage. True presence is containment. It is emotional maturity. It is the ability to be open without being porous. A man with presence does not chase connection. Connection follows him. Because he is not pulling energy outward. He is drawing it inward. People lean toward grounded energy. Women especially. There is also something else. A man with presence does not rush intimacy. He allows moments to unfold naturally. He does not escalate emotionally too quickly. He does not demand closeness. He does not force vulnerability. And because nothing is forced, everything feels real. This is why women remember being with him. Not the messages. Not the conversations. But the feeling that time slowed down around him. That they were not being consumed, analyzed, or managed. They were simply with someone. Presence creates memory because it creates contrast. Against chaos. Against noise. Against emotional hunger. A grounded man feels like a pause. In a world that never stops demanding attention. And pauses are remembered. Stoic men understand this. You do not need to say much. If your presence is stable. You do not need to explain yourself. If your energy is coherent. You do not need to chase desire. If you do not disturb it. This is why the quiet man stays in her mind. Not because he was distant. But because when he was there. He was fully there. And that kind of presence. In love, sometimes silence is the answer. It gives us time to listen to ourselves and understand the other person's heart better. That's also the reason I share stories on this channel, so that you have a pause, a peaceful space to reflect. If you find this meaningful, Please click like and don't forget to subscribe, so that we can continue to accompany each other on the journey to find a peaceful and profound love. Now, let's continue the rest with me. Number 4. He is emotionally independent, and that cannot be controlled. There is a moment when a woman realizes that a man does not emotionally belong to her. Not in a cold way. Not in a dismissive way. But in a self-contained way. And that moment changes how she sees him forever. Most men want to be chosen. They want reassurance. They want certainty. They want emotional permission to feel okay. So they orbit a woman's moods. If she is warm, they are confident. If she is distant, they collapse. If she pulls away, they chase. This is not love. This is dependency. And dependency is deeply unattractive. An emotionally independent man does not rise or fall with a woman's emotional weather. He does not panic when she is quiet. He does not overreact when she tests boundaries. He does not beg for clarity to calm his anxiety. His emotional state is internally regulated. And that changes the entire dynamic. When a woman realizes that a man's peace does not depend on her reactions, something subtle happens inside her. She respects him. Not because he is dominant. Not because he is distant. But because he is not controllable through emotion. Stoic men understand a hard truth. If someone can destabilize your emotions easily, they own you. Emotional independence is freedom. And freedom is magnetic. An emotionally independent man still cares. But he does not cling. He does not attach his worth to being wanted in every moment. He knows who he is. With or without approval. That certainty cannot be negotiated. Women sense this quickly. They sense whether a man needs their validation or simply appreciates their presence. The first creates pressure. The second creates curiosity. I have watched women test emotionally independent men. Not maliciously, instinctively. They pull back slightly. They delay replies. They shift energy. Most men fail these tests without realizing they were being tested at all. They chase. They explain. They ask, "What's wrong?" The independent man does none of that. He notices. He adjusts if necessary. And he continues living his life. That response speaks louder than any confrontation. Here is something few men understand. A woman cannot fully respect a man who needs her to feel stable. Respect requires separation. Desire requires polarity. And polarity requires independence. An emotionally independent man does not fear loss. Not because he does not care. But because he does not abandon himself to keep someone else. He would rather walk away whole than stay and erode his center. That boundary is felt. And boundaries create safety. This is why emotionally independent men are remembered. They are not easily replaced. Not because they are perfect. But because they are anchored. Anchored men are rare. In Stoic love, attachment is replaced with alignment. You walk beside someone. Not ahead of them. Not behind them. If paths diverge, you do not chase. You let reality reveal itself. That clarity leaves an imprint. Women remember men who did not try to own them. Men who did not try to be owned. Men who stood firm without hardening. Men who remained open without dissolving. An emotionally independent man does not withdraw to punish. He withdraws to remain aligned. He does not manipulate with silence. He uses silence to maintain clarity. That distinction matters. This is why women think about him later. Because he did not beg to be chosen. He simply was. And that presence, free, grounded, self-contained, cannot be forgotten. Number 5. His silence makes her think, and thinking creates attachment. There is one thing more powerful than attention. More powerful than affection. More powerful than words. It is space. Most men are afraid of space. They fear silence because silence feels like loss. They fear distance because distance feels like rejection. So they rush to fill every gap with words, messages, explanations. And in doing so, they destroy the very thing that creates attachment. A woman does not become attached. When a man gives her everything, she becomes attached. When her mind continues working after he is gone. And nothing activates the mind like unanswered space. A Stoic man understands this instinctively. Not as a tactic. Not as manipulation. But as a natural result of his inner completeness. He does not rush to explain himself. He does not clarify every emotion. He does not resolve every ambiguity. Because he does not fear being misunderstood. Most men try to control how women see them. They want to be liked. They want to be understood. They want to be remembered as good men. A Stoic man wants none of that. He wants alignment, not approval. And alignment does not require constant explanation. Silence is not absence. Silence is permission. Permission for the other person to reflect. To interpret. To project. And projection is where emotional attachment is born. When a man speaks constantly, a woman has no space to think. Everything is given. Everything is explained. Everything is resolved. There is nothing left for her inner world to engage with. No echo. No residue. No aftertaste. But when a man leaves space, not coldly, not deliberately, but naturally, her mind begins to fill the silence. She replays moments. She reconsiders words. She wonders. And wondering is dangerous. Because it creates emotional investment. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Women do not remember men who answered every question. They remember men who left questions behind. Not confusion. Not anxiety. But open loops. Moments that did not fully close. A Stoic man does not chase closure. He understands that not everything needs resolution. Some things are meant to remain unfinished. Unfinished things live longer in the mind. This is why silence from a grounded man feels different than silence from an insecure one. Insecure silence feels heavy. Manipulative. Stoic silence feels calm. Neutral. It does not beg for interpretation. It invites it. A woman senses the difference. She knows when silence is punishment. She knows when silence is strength. Strength does not demand response. Strength does not rush connection. Strength allows reality to unfold. Without interference. There is also something else. A man who is comfortable with silence signals that he has a full inner life. He is not empty. He is not waiting to be completed. He has thoughts he does not need to share. Depth he does not need to display. That depth is felt, not seen. And felt depth is unforgettable. Stoic men do not try to occupy a woman's mind. They simply do not vacate it. Because they do not overstay emotionally. They do not flood her space. They arrive fully. And leave cleanly. That clean exit leaves an imprint. A woman may not miss constant attention. But she will miss clarity without neediness. She will miss presence without pressure. She will miss connection without emotional demand. This is why, weeks later, she still thinks of him. Not because he chased. Not because he promised. But because he never collapsed into her world. He remained himself. And self-contained men stay remembered. In Stoic philosophy, silence is not emptiness. It is restraint. It is discipline. It is confidence without display. A man who can walk away without bitterness. Without explanation. Without emotional residue. Is a man whose absence is louder than presence. An absence that speaks. Is never forgotten. This is the final truth of Stoic love. The man who does not try to be unforgettable. Often is. Because he does not cling. Because he does not chase. Because he does not need to be held in mind. Yet remains there anyway. Conclusion. At some point in life, a man learns a difficult truth. Love is not built by force, explanation, or emotional intensity. It is built by self-mastery. The quiet man is not memorable because he tried to be. He is memorable because he did not need to try. He remained calm when emotions rose. He spoke only when his words carried weight. He was fully present without demanding attention. He stood emotionally independent, unshaken by validation or rejection. And he allowed silence to do what words never could. In a world where most men chase connection, the quiet man becomes connection. Not by filling space, but by respecting it. Women do not remember him as perfect. They remember him as stable. They remember the absence of chaos. The absence of pressure. The absence of emotional hunger. And that absence feels like peace. Stoic love is not cold. It is disciplined. It does not beg to be chosen. It does not fear being misunderstood. It does not cling in the name of care. It stands. The quiet man understands that attraction is not something to manufacture. It is something that emerges naturally. When a man is anchored within himself, he does not occupy a woman's life aggressively. He leaves room for her mind to engage, reflect, and remember. And that is why he stays with her long after the noise fades. Not because he spoke the loudest. Not because he tried the hardest. But because he was the calm. In a world that rarely slows down. Thank you for watching today's video. I'm so happy to share my lessons about love and relationships with you. I hope you learned something new and can apply it to your life. If you find the video useful, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. Thank you for always accompanying and supporting me. Wish you a good day and don't forget to love yourself a lot.